The bags, daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Listen to the Tom Hartman radio program every weekday from 11 to 2 right here on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
AP News, I'm Haya Panjwani. President Donald Trump has extended a trade truce with China for another 90 days. That delays once again a dangerous showdown between the world's two biggest economies. AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports a notorious Sudan militia has killed at least 40 people in North Darfur.
Local rights groups say Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces have attacked a displacement camp outside El Fasher in North Darfur, killing dozens. The emergency response Rooms group reported the attack on Monday, stating that the RSF targeted civilians in their homes. The camp, which houses hundreds of thousands of displaced people, has faced repeated attacks during the ongoing war between the RSF and the Sudanese military. The Sudanese army claims it clashed with RSF fighters on Monday, defeating them and capturing vehicles. The civil war, which began in April 2023, has killed over 40,000 people and displaced millions. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
President Trump has nominated a conservative economist to handle the nation's labor statistics. AP's Marcela Sanchez.
President Trump has nominated E.J. Antoni to lead the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Antoni is an economist at the conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation. Earlier this month, Trump fired Erica McIntyre for the head of the Bureau after the July jobs report showed hiring slowed sharply this spring, with job gains in May and June revised much lower than initially estimated. Antoni has criticized the agency's collection and publication of the jobs data for years, especially since the COVID-19 pandemic, when the agency frequently revised its initial jobs estimates lower. Most previous commissioners have been mild-mannered technocrats. Antoni, however, has been an unabashed partisan in his economic analyses posted on the Heritage website. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
This is AP News. AP Washington correspondent Sagar Begani reports on reaction to President Trump's D.C. police takeover.
Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth.
And he's taking over Washington, D.C.'s police,
placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control.
The president's also deploying the National Guard and hundreds of federal officers, all aimed at what he says is saving the city from drugged-out maniacs and others. Though the city's mayor notes crime is falling here, the president says his administration's also removing homeless encampments and cleaning graffiti.
Other cities are studying what we're doing,
and hopes places like Chicago and L.A. will self-clean without the administration getting involved. Sagar Magani at the White House.
I'm Haya Panjwani, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms here for today, with partial sunshine developing and a high in the mid-80s. Winds out of the south at 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. For tonight, chance for rain and storms, cloudy, a low near 70. By Wednesday, sunshine, high of 84 degrees. Thursday, sunny, high of 83. Friday, we'll see mostly sunny skies, a high of 89 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 75.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Tuesday morning, progressives, and welcome to the August 12th, 2025 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278 is our Credo mobile phone and text line. You can find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. Of course, email me at richard@WCPT820.com. Follow me on X, Instagram, Substack, Threads, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Blue Sky. And catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. That's where you can get the Choose Views featured interviews, our short ones and our longer ones. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez. I got that right this morning. Yesterday, I was like, got that wrong. But we love you, Patty. You know that. The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, and, of course, Out Chicago, and our other great shows and interviews along the course of the day. And as always, make your way over to our Heartland Signal digital platform, heartlandsignal.com. There's a great clip from an interview that Patty did with Missouri State Rep Ashley Ayun. And also, actually, there's two clips there. And then a conversation that we're going to play a clip from this morning on the Texas Democrats being watched. So we're still leaning into this conversation, leaning into this discussion with regard to Texas Democrats and the whole problem that Greg Abbott allowed to happen because Donald Trump wanted it to happen with regard to these 5 legislative seats or congressional seats. We'll talk a little bit about what's happening in D.C. with this takeover of the D.C. Metropolitan Police. I'm going to have some statistics and data tomorrow that we'll report in the probably in the 6:30 to 7 o'clock hour tomorrow that I want to talk about that I think you guys should be aware of. There's some conversation around what can happen, what will happen with regard to this Trump D.C. Putting the D.C. police under federal control. We'll get into that a little bit today, but tomorrow I'll have a little bit more database information to talk with you about. But for now, check this out.
This is a call to action. To everybody who's watching right now and you can't believe what you're hearing, I'm a messenger. I've been in politics for 3 years. I'm not beholden to anything or anybody other than this Constitution and this United States. And what I tell you what's happening right now is criminal. None of us have committed a crime. Yet we are public enemy number 1 to the FBI. When we know there's pedophiles walking freely amongst them. So any consequences that comes to us being here, we will gladly take. Because to defend and protect the Constitution, but most importantly, to defend and protect this nation, this is going to steamroll through the rest of the country, and we need all of you on board.
That would be my version of saying do something. That's Texas Representative Josie Garcia. And on that point, today at 7 o'clock hour, we'll have candidate that's running for Congress, Isaiah Martin. His name has rocketed in the last 2 weeks. Because of his passion, his leadership, his running for office, and the list goes on. So he'll be with us in the 7 o'clock hour this morning. And then Ann Johnson, Texas representative, who you've heard quite a bit from here with some of the clips that we played, but also just in general. She's another one of the leading voices in this conversation, and she'll be with us in the 7:30 hour. I hope that, that I have an opportunity to chat with these guys later today at an event that's taking place here in Chicago. So, but for now, that's what's happening. We've got Isaiah Martin with us at 7 o'clock and Texas Representative Ann Johnson. And I'm looking forward to talking with both of them about what's happening on the ground, what's their conversation. We could probably talk an hour with them about all that's going down. And we've got some clips for you guys to talk a little bit about the economy. And also our good friend Kate Lincoln Goldfinch with regard to the census. And we'll talk a little bit about, we got some information from Dick Durbin as well. So we will be keeping you guys informed today and keeping you guys aware of what's happening. And, I want to, as usual, give you guys my observations and commentary this morning off of that clip from Representative Josie Garcia before we go to the break. And it is a do something moment. It's that way constantly right now. And why is it? I've got my observations about it, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't really matter. What should matter is what she said, which is protecting our democracy. And that means a lot to me. It means things like being able to freely go to a concert like I did Sunday evening to see the great Herb Alpert. That to me is part of it. It's the freedom to be able to navigate without worrying about, now that, you guys may have seen this, that police officers are doing random stops, ID checks just outside of or near Howard University in Washington, D.C. Well, I wonder why Howard University. Why not at Georgetown, or why not at any of the other schools that are in the D.C. metropolitan area? Well, because Howard University, of which many of us have friends who are alumni of that school, is in a predominantly African-American neighborhood, if you will, but blended. There's some gentrification, ironically, that's taken place there. But it's an HBCU, and it's in D.C. Metro. Very low crime in that part of the city because the folks that live there care about the university and care about the surrounding community. Okay? But they're now pulling folks over and checking their IDs. I'll get into some of the data tomorrow a little bit. But when I hear things from Texas Representative Garcia about taking care of and protecting our democracy, this is, you don't hear those words coming out of the mouths of Republicans in the GOP, the guardians of pedophiles. You don't hear that. What you hear is taking back our cities, taking back, that's the beginning of, the conversation. Whether it be this gerrymandering and redistricting, which is a taking back, it's taking away from black folks and other people of color, their ability to vote and be a participant in the democracy. That's what it's all about. It's not providing any better services. It's about taking back versus protecting our democracy, which is what the representatives out of Texas are trying to do. So Republicans are taking away from, while Democrats are trying to provide for. And I could break that down on a local level. The criticisms that come at Mayor Johnson right now, some of them are warranted. So those of you out there who want to say, Richard, you're just a fanboy of Mayor Brandon Johnson, that's your opinion. I want him to succeed, just like I want the county officials to succeed and the state legislature to succeed and the governor to succeed. So if that's the label you need to give me as being a fanboy for Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker, hey, I got big shoulders. I can handle it because I want them to succeed. Because what they're doing is giving to and providing for the citizens that got them elected and the ones that didn't choose to vote for them. That's the difference. And some of the criticisms are coming from people that are, quote unquote, on the left or want to call themselves independents. But at the end of the day, that's what these elected officials are trying to do, is provide things for our community, to protect the community, to provide support systems They don't get it right all the time. Hell, to use a baseball analogy, and Devin can appreciate this, you bat 300, you're going to the Hall of Fame, right? You might, if you bat 290, you might get to the Hall of Fame. And I know it's baseball. I get it's sports. It's not politics and running our government. But they don't get it right all the time. But their objective, their North Star, is to make things better for as many people as possible. Joe Biden didn't want to see the country fail or any communities fail or take away from any community. Neither would Kamala Harris as president. And I could look at a whole list of Democratic leaders of all different levels and can say the same thing about them. It's about providing for, giving to, and protecting democracy. The Republicans, the GOP, want to take away from. There's a significant difference in the leadership ideology. One of them is to take away from, to control power, centralize power for primarily white, straight Christian male dudes. And if you don't have to believe me, Danny Collins said it yesterday. So for those who want to come after me, calling me a racist and saying that I should be, well, I won't repeat the words that were put in the threat to me, but Danny Collins, what do you call him? Because he ain't black. He said it plainly yesterday. Those were his words, his experience. Democrats are trying to make sure that we protect our communities, protect our democracy, and provide for us as a citizenry. That's a big difference. So, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM, Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we'll be right back.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Good morning. You're waking up with Richard Chu.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
We're live and ready to hear from you. Text or call us now at 773-763-9278. Same number. Simple as that. Let's get the conversation going on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Welcome back, guys. 773-763-9278 is a Credo mobile phone and text line. Give us a call or send us a text. And I do have another question for you guys today. So let me get through a couple of Choose Views news items on this August 12th, 2025. Working mothers are exiting the labor force. The gains made by working mothers after the pandemic have been largely erased by the return to office policies and sweeping federal layoffs, according to the Washington Post. A recent analysis of federal data found that the share of working mothers ages 25 to 44 with children under the age of 5 has dropped to the lowest level since in more than 3 years. In addition to layoffs and policy changes, many women tell the Post that a discernible shift in workplace attitudes made them feel less valued at work and continued their decision to exit the labor force. AOL is to end their dial-up internet service. Please take a moment of silence following the beep, screech, bing, bong, bing, bong. Remember that? Some say to know the sound of AOL dialing to the internet is something that you'll know forever. But that noise, that cacophony of noise, will soon be a thing of the past. AOL has quietly announced that on September 30th, it will discontinue dial-up service, something that over 160,000 Americans still use to access the internet when surveyed back in 2023. AOL once dominated dial-up service with its junk mail CDs and the ubiquitous sound, but broadband has displaced it and has continued to do such since the early 2000s. Alrighty, Goldman Sachs talking about tariffs. They're going to sock it to the customers. What does that mean? Tariffs have walloped shoppers, yet Goldman Sachs believes that it's about to change. Researchers at the banking giant expect businesses to begin raising prices, sparking faster inflation and stressing the Treasury's market. Goldman reports the share of tariffs paid by consumers should rise from 22% through June to eventually 67%. If history is a guide. Levies could also significantly grow one of the Fed's primary inflation indicators as a percentage of tariffs absorbed by businesses drops from 64% to 10%, increasing the burden on shoppers. Did you hear me? 64% absorbed by businesses down to 10%, which means that burden is going to be on shoppers. So those who were head up the behind of the Republicans are better for the economy and Donald Trump's going to fix everything economically, here's what's coming. We didn't try. We told you. Apple plans a voice-first overhaul. Apple's smart home display will likely launch next spring and include AI-powered Siri features, Bloomberg reports. The long-delayed, long-anticipated revamped Siri is designed to help Apple users handle more tasks and navigate iPhone apps more intuitively using simple voice commands. For example, users will be able to instruct Siri to, quote, find a specific photo, edit it, and send it without touching a single button. So, there you go. China tariffs. Deadline was pushed again. You may have heard by now an executive order signed by Donald Trump will delay tariffs on Chinese goods for another 90 days. Instability. Where's the certainty? Citing an administration official, the window for negotiations between the world's largest economies was set to close today, but now will remain open until November 9th. Trump will also said on social media that gold will not be tariffed. According to Bloomberg, the White House plans to issue an executive order clarifying the policy after a ruling that the tariffs would be a royal to the markets. And Ford is investing $5 billion in their EV push. They've announced this plan to develop a new lineup of lower-cost electric vehicles as part of a sweeping strategy to reverse losses in its EV business and challenge Chinese automakers. The initiative includes a $2 billion overhaul of Ford's factory in Louisville, Kentucky, to shift production to a new EV lineup, and a $3 billion battery facility in Marshall, Michigan, that the automaker will begin building next year. The plants are expected to create or preserve about 4,000 jobs. This plan marks a tremendous pivot from Ford's previous EV approach of electrical vehicles. All right, T. There you go. A couple of items from Choose Views News to keep you up to speed on what's happening over there. So, another question today that I want to ask you guys that I think is one that, I don't know. I think you guys will have an opinion on this. Yesterday, I asked the question, do you want to see J.B. Pritzker run for president? And your reasons for and or against that. And you all either text, some of you called a couple times, and we talked about it. So now I'll ask you this question, and that is, do you want to see Gavin Newsom run for president? And your reasons for or against it. It's a big part of the conversation right now for weeks, if not months. Obviously, the speculation and or anticipation of both of these guys potentially running for president. Neither have formally claimed that they will, but the speculation is out there. And there's things that they do that give signs that they're probably going to, or that they have certainly, it's not off the table, as J.B. Pritzker said in the interview on television over the weekend. So I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. We've talked around it, talked about it, but today's presidential question is if you'd like to see Gavin Newsom run for president, and why, if yes, and why, if no, and some of your thoughts in that space. So give us a call, and or send us a text so I can hear what you have to say. Let us know so we can talk about it, and then we can get your thoughts in that space. So before we went to the first break, I talked about the importance of doing something. Going back to Representative Garcia and her plight, her passionate plight about protecting democracy. And why is that so important right now? I'm committed to this and committed to talking about this, that the Democratic Party at large is about including folks, preserving not just democracy, but preserving respectability, humanity, treatment of others. And all of that is tied. And ironically, the opposition to this bill is all about those things. This betrayal of a bill. All those things that the bill is representing are about taking away from. It's not about providing things for. Who benefits from taking away? Let's just use the Weiss Hospital example that we talked about yesterday. That closing, as a result of the Medicare and Medicaid problems that this bill has caused, will impact, like I said, 3 to 4 groups. The people that are cared for, the people that provide the care in the community, the businesses that benefit from those who work there, that spend their money there, and the people, the physical structural blight that could take place if that building is shuttered. So how does that bill benefit? Where's that money going? That's what I want to know. That's my question. How does it benefit anybody? So this is that stark difference between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans, that's taking away from, just like the seats in Texas, they're taking away from people to consolidate power so that a bunch of, possibly, we don't know they're straight. Some of those Republican dudes are the ones that are showing up in all these, situations where they have done they've been caught with some sort of sexual perversion or either some act or something on their computer, and the list goes on. But that's that Republican Party. That's that so-called, better than everybody else, white Christian male party that says, we're better than you, and so as a result, we should be able to take your political seats and take your resources. But then we turn around, and that same white Christian male, supposedly straight, is one that's committing these acts. I mean, hey, don't believe me. You can look it up yourself. We've talked about it, but it's out there. But those are the same people that represent this GOP party. They're no other than that. Like the clip that we had, I believe it was Jasmine Crockett. She said this, and if we had it, we'd play it now. But Jasmine Crockett said that, the reason that Greg Abbott is doing what he's doing, and that Paxton specifically, is it's because they've got to have some street cred with the Republican Party in terms of being a disgusting or acting like a disgusting human being. Ken Paxton with this issues with his marriage and the infidelity and all these other things that have gone on, and the list. That's who the Republican men are right now. That's what I see. I don't see some bright light of or beacon of strength and moral superiority. In fact, when I hear when I hear this phrase white superiority, I just laugh. To be completely brutally honest, I see nothing superior at all by the people who are trying to represent themselves as a superior group of people. And it's kind of like President Obama said, you walk into a room and you sit down at a table at a meeting, and you're finding out that these people are not all that. And it's true. So that's the group of people that's taking away stuff, that's making it more difficult for people to navigate. That's the group of people that wants you to believe that they're better than everybody else, when in fact they're not. And they're not because they're just not, but they're also not because of the way in which they've chosen to treat people and to provide, to position themselves as ones that are taking away from and hurting people. That's not better than, that's not superior to. If anything, it's dog A dirty. That's the Republican Party right now. And if you're still supporting the Republican Party, I've said this before, I'll say it again. you got some splaining to do to yourself, because if you're still in any capacity finding a reason to give them cover, there's some problems there. Because you should be, if you call yourself the smarter, better, stronger group of people, you should see how disgusting that party is acting right now. And how would you want to be associated or affiliated with it? I know I've got my suspicions and reasons or observations, but right now we're going to go to a break. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views. We'll be right back.
WCPT Replay.
Nathaniel George Booker, also known as the mayor of the village of Maywood, Illinois.
We have to stop walking in fear. There's nothing about this administration that's walking in fear, and energy has to match energy. And I feel like the fear and the concern that we're operating in versus the unity and coming together is truly what our strength is. There's so many opportunities to become more community engaged. And whether that be via virtual Zooms that are taking place in your communities, or whether those be in-person community meetings, you've got to stand up together. And nothing is done in a silo. So I tell people all the time, the dream work makes the team work is a real thing. And we've got to, as a community, as a country, come together more. And that will drive out the fear. That will drive out the hate, because there's power in numbers.
Keep listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms here for today, with partial sunshine developing and a high in the mid-80s. Winds out of the south at 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. For tonight, chance for rain and storms, cloudy, a low near 70. By Wednesday, sunshine, high of 84 degrees. Thursday, sunny, high of 83. Friday, we'll see mostly sunny skies, a high of 89 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 76.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. So I'm going to get to some of your calls about election candidates and such, and a few other things that you guys are hitting me with, and some texts. Thank you for those. But one of the things I wanted to highlight is when I talk about taking things away from, and Republicans doing things that cause more harm than confidence, more fear than safety, they're going right after elected officials, and you guys should you should know this. And this is a clip that actually comes from our Heartland Signal platform. And it's a reporter talking to one of the Texas Democratic legislators about safety and what they're feeling, what's happening right now. So we're gonna hit you with that one real quickly on Texas Dems.
Raise your hand if you've heard that your families are being watched by
Everybody.
I've already had state troopers at my home this morning.
Multiple times.
This morning, multiple days in a row, and last night.
So that was a very quick clip, but yes, Texas representatives are now having, they all raised their hands. Now, one did not raise their hand. When the question was asked by a reporter, it had been reported that their families were being watched by the FBI and law enforcement, Texas law enforcement. For what purpose? Again, this is about forcing, taking away, not understanding the rules of law and engagement in this space. And Ann Johnson, when she's on, we'll talk about this in more depth. This is allowed. This is something that we're permitted to do. And this is one of the guidelines that the Texas state legislatures in the past have used. So this is not, breaking quorum is not illegal. It may be ticking off those in the Republican Party, but, buck up, boys and girls. This is, you should have known that this was going to happen, or that the possibility of it happening was out there. So we'll try to get into that a little bit more when we talk with Representative Ann Johnson later in the show. But I think it's important to understand that this is all, again, tied to, and we're going to have another clip that we'll get to in a moment, but this is all, again, tied to the fact that that inside of a census cycle, they're trying to do this. You know, if you're going to redistrict, if you're going to gerrymander, it's got to be based on some solid numbers. And in this case, it's not, because the census was taken 5 years ago, and it's not due to be taken again for another 5 years. But it's being done as a power grab. And I'm going to keep talking about it, because this is yet another way in which this administration and their minion are trying to, thank God, Illinois and the city of Chicago. For those of you who got issues with the state of Illinois or the city of Chicago, then move if you think it's that bad. I mean, you know, somebody will move in to replace you. Trust me. I watch the numbers. I have for years. And I'm not being arrogant and saying that. I'm just saying stop complaining. Be part of the solution rather than part of the ongoing whining about the problems. I want to be part of the solution. But I can tell you right now, I'm proud that let me put it a little bit differently. I'm thankful that we have the folks in place with this potential attempt for takeover by federal law enforcement in the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. Okay? I am. Because when I talk about taking and taking over, that's what this Texas situation is all about. It's about taking over. What Trump is doing with D.C. Metropolitan Police, it's under federal control. That's about taking. It's not about providing and giving. So, to that end, I speak to this, and in connection to what I said a moment ago about the census. It's about taking. It's not about giving anything. Maybe giving more power to those who want to seize it. But I want to read you guys a couple of texts that received. Here's one from Lois. Of course, Trump isn't sending the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee, which has the highest crime rate. Don't know where D.C. actually falls, but it's below that. So there's one. Let's look at another one that. This is one that I definitely wanted to kind of give you bits and pieces of. This kicking homeless out of D.C. Let's look at the Human Rights Enhancement Act of 2022. The act protects individuals experiencing homelessness from discrimination by specifically adding, quote, homeless status as a protected trait under the D.C. Human Rights Act. You guys, understand that? So, once again, they're breaking the rules. They're not following the rules. They're trying to use the Home Act because of where geographically Washington, D.C. is positioned as it relates to the nation's federal buildings. That's what they're using a very thin, narrowly defined and read piece of the law to do this. So that's why, but that's part of the reason why this quote unquote calling out New York, calling out DC, Chicago and Los Angeles as we're going to come in there as well is a bunch of malarkey, because you don't have any federal authority in terms of law enforcement in the state of Illinois, yet alone in the city of Chicago. And to Lois's point, why don't you run down to Memphis? Why? Because it's a red state. Okay. I'll give you another example, and I'm going to bring more detail to this as the week goes by. But let me just go with one of the bits of data that I did pull up. I'm going to read this to you and see if you guys can figure it out. This particular city, violent crime rates is 7.3 per 1,000 residents, and property crime rate is 32.1 per 1,000 residents. While this city experiences higher crime rates than both the state and national averages, there have been some declines, but still, it has a higher crime rate than both the state and national averages. Anybody want to guess what that city is? I'll let you guys. We'll take a little bit of time. I'll let you guys call with an answer, and then we'll grab some calls in a second. But again, this particular city, the violent crime rate is 7.3 per 1,000 residents, and property crime rate is 32.1 per 1,000 residents. While this city experiences higher crime rates than both the state and national averages, they have seen a reduction in violent crimes, but it still has crime rates higher than both the state and national averages. What I will tell you is that Trump has not decided to send the National Guard there to take over the police force there, and it is a Republican city in a Republican state. Let's see who may have an answer to that question. So call us about that and call us about Gavin Newsom. So let's take a couple of those quick calls, and then we'll go to a break. Let's go to Pam on the west side of Chicago. Good morning, Pam. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Hi. I'm sorry. Hi, Richard. How are you?
I'm good, dear. How you doing?
Good morning. You got to call me off guard. Sorry
That's all
about
right.
that.
That's all right. What's going on?
I have no idea about the question you asked, so I'll leave that to someone else.
Okay.
But I wanted to say no to Gavin Newsom.
Okay.
And, if you recall, I think he was on with Bannon or one of the
I do.
actors.
I do.
And I just recall the comment made about Pocahontas, made about Senator Warren, in reference to Senator Warren. And he just kind of laughed it off. So so in my mind's eye, if you can't stand up in that moment, I'm not quite sure what you're going to do when the pressure's really on. So that just meant a lot to me. Just in that moment.
I get it.
Stand up because that was racist and that was wrong.
Yeah.
And so, and so I'm not saying he's a bad person and, he's fighting and considering redistricting, and that's fine. But I'm saying no. Richard, I wanted to ask you very specifically, what is the Democratic Party? What is the strategy for winning not only the House back, but also winning back the White House? And I'm going to just, I'm sorry, yes.
No. I wanted to start answering your question.
Okay,
I'm going to start with an I don't know. And I don't mean that because I don't know, like, oh, my God, I'm worried I don't know. But I literally don't know what it is. Like, if you told me what was happening outside the building right now, I could tell you I have some ideas, but I don't know for a fact. So it's a literal answer to your question. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't a strategy. That doesn't mean that there won't be a strategy that we'll all be able to see. I do think that what has to happen, though, this is my observation, is that right now there's a couple things that need to happen. One of them is we can't wait until later this year or early next year to start this fight. And I actually, it's funny you asked this question, Pam. I got some stuff here on my table on the desk about the wins that we're having, it's here on my desk. I got to find it. I thought I had it clipped together, but we're having wins. Okay, we are winning in areas that we're, quote, not supposed to be winning in some of these special elections, and it's not being talked about in the mainstream media. It just isn't. Okay, so to that end, we are winning some of these early elections. We have to continue that fight, and I want the Democratic voices of leadership, all of them, to come out and talk about why we have to be fighting right now. I've been saying this for months now. I don't know what the answer is to that question, Pam, but I'll tell you what I'd like to see, and that is that the Democratic voices of leadership have to be willing to speak about the problems and then what we're going to do in terms of fighting. And it has to be a daily thing. So what's the Democratic Party look like? Who's the Democratic Party leadership? Right now, there hasn't been a singular voice that emerges. And one of the things we have to be careful of, Pam, I believe, is waiting for that person to ride in on the white horse. I think we all need to get on our horses and ride in, to be honest with you. We're past, as we talk about, and you hear me talk about, we have to fight differently. Well, part of the fight differently has to be us fighting differently as the individual voters and representation, as part of the representation. So I don't think that this time it's about who is going to be the voice that rises to the top. It'll eventually happen through the process that we have in place. But I think right now, all of us, and you've heard me say this before, we all got to put our hands on the table to keep that bad boy standing up. I just believe that in my heart, Pam. If we don't do that, then we're going to kind of wash, rinse, and repeat for the person to ride in on the white horse and be the savior. And this time, I don't think that's really, even though I asked a question about Gavin and about JB, it's because I want to get you guys' observation. But I don't think it's white horse syndrome time right now.
I totally agree with you, but I think it's messaging time.
Oh, God, yeah.
So here's my concern, because I always felt this with Harris. It wasn't the message, because people keep saying that. I disagree.
Yep.
But I think it was the black female messenger.
Sure it was.
That people didn't want to get on board with. And so I think the Democratic Party has to deal with that truth. Because, I told you, I'm up front. I want to see Harris run again. If she got 77 million in 107 days, I want to see what she can do with a full cycle.
Yeah.
But lastly, Richard, I'm going to say you have to take on this issue of racism and hate.
Yeah.
And I wish the Democratic Party would do it. If they don't know how to do it, then talk to the experts who can advise you. Correct.
Who navigated every single day of our lives, every single day.
And we know what it's like.
Exactly.
Yes,
and sexism tied into that. That's why I have my 4 legs to the stool of our problems in America. Let me come back to something real quick, then we had to hit this break, Pam.
Sure.
Re-listen to, if you get a chance, and I say this to everybody, re-listen to my segment yesterday with Leaving MAGA and Danny Collins. He said it. He made it clear. He said it was not about the messaging. It wasn't about any of that stuff. It was about white racism in America, that they could not see themselves into a position to vote for Kamala Harris. I mean,
Danny.
Sorry.
Danny is Danny white or black?
He's white.
I'm sorry. And all I'm going to say, Richard, we need the white community to tell the truth on this issue. Thank you, Danny. And can I ask one last question,
sure.
Richard? What is, the big nasty bill?
Yes.
Why aren't our elected officials, the Democratic Party, saying that when we take control, and I'm speaking in the positive, when we work hard and take control, we are going to repeal this bill?
Why
aren't they saying that? And I'll hang up and listen.
All right, Pam, thanks for the call.
Sure, thank you.
All right, we're going to hit a break, and when I come back, I'll try to respond with what Pam just asked. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM, and 103.5 FM in Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
John Spears, director of the American Lung Association's Health House Project, helps builders design and build homes that prevent or lessen the symptoms we feel from dust mites, molds, and pet dander. He says airborne molds can come from your humidifier.
People have tried to humidify the house in the winter because they feel it's too dry, and the humidifier itself becomes a source of pollution. The humidifier, to be effective, really needs to be cleaned on a very regular basis and disinfected, because most of them are just a wet pad, and this wet pad then can be a breeding ground. If you do have a humidifier, you need to make sure that every 2 weeks or at a minimum once a month, you clean it out and disinfect it.
For more information on the Health House, visit healthhouse.org on the internet or call your local lung association chapter. With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Thanks to Pam for her always very compelling and in-your-face questions and thoughts, and she's spot on about not better messaging, but start right now. And one of the things that she said, which is a messaging item, I believe, but it's also policy. It's also a vote for, reasons to vote for. Make it clear, the Democratic Party right now, I believe, that one of the messaging items, conversation items, whatever you want to call it, needs to be, when we're back in power, we're going to reverse this doggone bill. Yeah, that needs to be coming out of all their mouths right now. That's why I'm saying, and I've said, be careful of the distractions of the D.C. takeover, the distractions of talking about it in other cities and all that. Those are distractions, and the media is feeding on that. Well, I'm of the mindset, and I agree with Pam, this is, you guys have heard me say this before, create the news, create the conversation, make the mainstream media have to come and talk to the Democrats. One of the ways to do it is line them up. 3 a day, 5 a day, whatever the number is of members of the House of Representatives and of the Senate, and start talking about, when we are back in power, we're going to reverse this bill. Here's how it's going to benefit you, America. It's going to make sure that you have the hospitals in your communities fully functioning. We're going to make sure that we stout up our Social Security benefits and Medicare benefits and Medicaid benefits as we, navigate how those two work between federal and state. We're going to make sure that tariffs do not put you out of business. Just start. It's easy, y'all. I think it's easy. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it. I know this. If I were an elected official, I would have a press conference every day. I'd bore the hell out of you all with that. This is what we're going to, when we're back in power, this is what we're going to do. I'd go around the leadership and say, I'm going to say this because my constituents want to know that that's where I stand. And I go to leadership and say, listen, we're missing the boat here. Now, we don't know that they're not saying that in their private meetings, but that's part of the problem. Eric Grant and I have talked about this a number of times. We should know that they're having those conversations. Okay? That's the piece where Pam is so spot on. We want to know what it is. I know they're fighting like hell, but I got to believe that they are. And, when we've talked to folks that we've had on, whether it be Robin Kelly, whether it be Raja Krishnamurthy, whether it be any of the elected officials, I've always tried to say, we got your back. Just keep fighting. Don't look back. We got your back. And I know some of you don't like it when I do that. You want me to be hardcore on them. Well, I don't misuse my strength. Just for those of you who want me to ask the elected officials that I have on the uncomfortable, difficult questions. I'm not like everybody else when it comes to that. I ask them when I see it's fit to ask them those questions. I want to help them understand. Go do the work. We got you. Stop worrying about what people are saying. We got you. So, all right. In this short time we have before Isaiah Martin's with us, let's grab a couple of quick calls. Let's go to Leo real quickly. Good morning, Leo. Welcome to Choose Views. What's happening?
Good morning. I feel like a broken record, but I'm going to disagree with Pam for once. I love Pam, but I don't think that the issue with Kamala was just sexism and racism. The reason that Democrats keep losing in the general election is they do not listen to their base. Who is the most popular Democrat right now? Probably Jasmine Crockett. And I remember when Biden stepped down, I called into your show and I said, she's going to be the angry black woman. Whether she is or not, they're going to label her that. But that's the moment. That's what we need. And Kamala's too nice. If you look at Beto O'Rourke, he's tough. He's cursing on air. Like somebody is listening, and the DNC is not. Stop calling these people my friends across the aisle. You're fascist. You're not friends. You like. The right calls us pedophiles and baby eaters, so we need to stop calling them friends.
Yeah, I agree with that part of it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Leo. Go ahead.
No. I mean, that's just it. Like, I think some of her policies were heading in the right direction, kind of following in the same vein of Biden, but she's not a progressive. And if we're going to win an election, I've called before to say, one, stop being so nice to people that are trying to destroy America, and two, stop reaching right. Reach for that did not vote voter. Reach for the people who are disenfranchised. Reach for the people who feel like they haven't been spoken to. And it's not the right. It's the middle. It's
now there are people, Leo, that would challenge you to say that the Democrats did that she did do that was and they can break down some evidence to say that was the problem, that they did reach to too many of those issues. So it's an interesting perspective that you bring, that you're saying you don't think that she reached enough to...
Oh, I don't. We dip our toes in the water for Obamacare, right? Obamacare, all he did was he followed the same model that was set forth by the invention of Medicare. It was supposed to... Medicare was designed to start absorbing people like every decade, and he was just following that plan, right? That's a good plan, but that was a good plan in the 1950s. Now it's time to do universal. Like we've been people on the left have been said, be pragmatic, take a little bit, take a little bit, take a little bit. But that take a little bit argument has always, when you get to negotiation, that little bit turns into even more of a fraction.
I get it.
To where, like, now, a little bit would have worked when we started this fight. Now it's too late for a little bit. Now stuff needs to happen. And instead of dipping your toe in, third world countries have things that we don't. So why do we need a little bit?
Yeah.
It's time to get those people back and say, listen, I want to believe in American exceptionalism. I'm 40 years old. I was raised on American exceptionalism, but damn it, I want to see it. I don't just want to say it. I want to see it. And we can do it, but the pragmatism is the problem. So stop reaching for that white whale. Stop reaching for that moderate conservative. And, if she was reaching, and I don't blame her, I blame the DNC, but if she was reaching for the left.
But Leo, let me, okay, I get it. But now let me draw this a circle around this again.
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing with you because I'm looking for information that enlightens us and makes us say, okay, how do we get better? But this is the thing that I know that a lot of people are listening and going, okay, yes, and here's the yes and, Leo.
Uh-huh.
The part of the country that voted for Trump probably wouldn't have come. There's probably a faction of people that would have voted for her under certain circumstances that could have been different. We recognize that. And the people, to your point, that didn't vote, that 36%, that's the actual number, that didn't vote, they made a conscious decision to not do that. And they gave themselves a certain amount of privilege and comfort to not do that. But the people the people that you and I both know, and this came from another white dude yesterday, that didn't vote for her because of racism, sexism, and misogyny, that group of people undeniably are the ones that flipped this election, because that's a reality, Leo, that I'm telling you, that people did not vote for her for that reason. It wasn't because she didn't reach far enough, because the people that she would have reached to were they voted, they should have voted for her as an opposition vote, if nothing else, for the guy that they didn't vote for, if they didn't vote at all, or that they did vote for because they couldn't vote for a black woman. I mean, that's a reality. And we get caught up in trying to say they could have all done more. And I look at that and go, yes, and rather than yes, but. The yes, and. Go ahead.
I don't know if I'm getting lost in communication here, but I'm not saying reach for the Trump voter. Like, I'm saying forget.
I know you're not. I'm not saying that you are, and I know we're coming to the top of the hour, so we're going to have to keep this tight. I'm not saying that you are. I'm saying that if it's the 36%, because I'm not saying reach for the Trump voter. If they want to come, great. The people that didn't vote, there's a large swath of those people, and I tried to break this down a few weeks ago, that didn't vote for her because of primarily those two reasons: racism and sexism. They just didn't vote. To not vote because to use the rationale or the excuse that I didn't vote for her because she didn't reach far enough for me, but she decided to then let your no vote get him in office. That's on the voter. They saw what was in front of them. How could they not see what was in front of them, Leo? That's what troubles me. How could they not see that a non-vote was a vote for him? Because
in 2016, I was that voter. In 2016, I voted for Jill Stein instead of Hillary, and I regret that.
So stop right there, because we do have to get to this break. Stop right there and think for a second. You voted for Jill Stein rather than Hillary Clinton, and look how it turned out. So you cannot say in a responsible adult conversation that if she didn't reach you enough, but you voted for Jill Stein, and look what that got us. And there are millions of people that did that, and but what are they going? How are you going to blame Hillary for that? So.
Oh no, I don't, and I'm not saying I blame Kamala. I think Kamala was a good candidate. Was she? But she's not AOC. She's not Jasmine Crockett.
But see, and that, Leo, we got to have this. We got to have this conversation on another time because we're running tight, and we've got two guests that I can't be late for. I hear what you're saying, and we want to open this conversation up a little bit more. I knew at some point we were going to get to this, but let's have this conversation again because I don't want to be late, but I also don't want to cut you off because what you have to say is important to us. So let me go to this break, man. Be safe out there, and thank you as always for your contribution to the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, man. Be safe. That's our good friend Leo from South Carolina. I want him to be safe. We're going to take a quick break, guys. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820, WARR 1520, 103.5 FM, Warren, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In 1939, when Europe was on the brink of war, a single mother was bringing Jewish refugees into her home, teaching her two daughters to help others when you can and fight injustice. Freddie and Tross Offerstegen took their mother's advice to heart, joining their mother in distributing anti-Nazi newspapers and pamphlets for the resistance, a dangerous act when the Nazis invaded the Netherlands. But with the girls being young, Freddie being only 14 and Tross being only 16, Nazis were less likely to suspect them to be working for the resistance. This is most likely why in 1941, a commander of the Haarlem resistance group to ask their mother if he could recruit Freddie and Tross. Their mother and the girls agreed and were given basic training, and within 2 years the girls are bringing Jewish refugees into hiding, working in emergency hospitals, sabotaging bridges and railway lines, and killing Nazis, sometimes ambushing them from their bicycles. Despite the Netherlands not wanting to acknowledge the girls' achievements, their contributions to helping the Allied powers will never be unnoticed.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
AP News, I'm Haya Panjwani. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports there's been a deadly explosion at a U.S. steel plant outside of Pittsburgh.
An explosion hit the Clairton Coke Works Monday morning, a U.S. steel plant south of Pittsburgh. U.S. Steel's Scott Bacaiso says other employees
safely shut down all of the gases and utilities, and the plant is stable. But as I said, it is still an active investigation.
The explosion sent black smoke spiraling into the air.
I hope it ain't too poisonous.
Amy Sowers lives less than a mile from the plant and decided to leave after detecting a smell in the air. Sarah Namarato of Allegheny County Emergency Services.
We advise residents within 1 mile of the plant to remain indoors, close all windows and doors, set HVAC systems to recirculate.
I'm Ben Thomas.
European leaders are urging President Donald Trump to consider Europe's security needs when meeting with Russia's Vladimir Putin on Friday.
The Europeans are desperate to exert some influence over a meeting that they have been sidelined from. It's unclear whether even Ukraine will take part. Trump says he wants to see on Friday whether Putin is serious about ending the war. But he's disappointed US allies by saying that Ukraine will have to give up some Russian-held territory. The EU leaders welcomed his efforts to end the war, but insist that the path to peace in Ukraine cannot be decided without Ukraine. I'm Charles de la Tesma.
New security policies are being pushed by the National Football League after a shooting at the league's office in New York. Corresponding Ethan Coolbaugh reports.
A memo sent to all teams outlined 3 recommended changes: updated threat assessment at every team and league facility to ensure risks are accurately identified and mitigated, presence of armed officers at team and league facilities whenever players or staff members are present, and weapons screening for anyone seeking entry into a team or league facility. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
This is AP News. There's a new analysis on President Trump's big tax cuts law.
A new report from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says President Trump's tax and spending law will mean less income for the poorest Americans while sending money to the richest. The estimate from the CBO is the 10% of poorest Americans will lose roughly $1,200 a year because of cuts in Medicaid and food assistance, while the richest 10% of Americans will see their income increase by $13,600 from tax cuts. The report says overall there will be more income from the tax cuts, but the biggest benefit goes to the top earners. House Ways and Means Committee Chair Jason Smith says he doesn't buy it, adding the CBO has a troubled track record of getting its estimates incorrect and, like Democrats, is biased in favor of more federal spending and higher taxes. Ed Donahue, Washington.
I'm Haya Panjwani, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms here for today, with partial sunshine developing and a high in the mid-80s. Winds out of the south at 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. For tonight, chance for rain and storms, cloudy, a low near 70. By Wednesday, sunshine, high of 84 degrees. Thursday, sunny, high of 83. Friday, we'll see mostly sunny skies, a high of 89 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 76.
That's the sound of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, saving you money and energy. With rebates on Energy Star appliances, so you can come back to a home full of savings. Discover more ways to save at ComEd.com/home savings. ComEd, powering lives.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
It's time to create a vision for the Democratic Party to move into the future. We got to make America more affordable. That's M-A-M-A like your mama. I'm going to work to guarantee health care for every single person because we're paying too much. I'm going to work to guarantee child care so no parent has to spend $1,300, $1,500, $2,000 a month for per kid per month to put their kids in child care in America. I'll be working not just to save Social Security, but to put more dollars in your pocket. Because if we can afford $4 trillion in tax cuts to the richest people in America, we certainly can afford to put more dollars in your pocket. God bless you all. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you, thank you, thank
you. Wow. That voice you heard is the guest that we have on the show this morning, candidate for Congress. Welcome to the show, Isaiah Martin.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. It's good to have you on the show. I will start off by saying that when I put it out there that you were going to be a guest on the show today, and thank you for being with us. I got a number of replies from a number of people saying, "Oh my God, Isaiah Martin is going to be on the show this morning on your show." So I hope those folks are tuning in anywhere in the country. You have been a lightning rod, an appropriate, well-needed lightning rod, a bolt of energy, all sorts of adjectives and descriptors in this conversation that we're in right now. And it all started with the fact that you decided to let the folks in the legislature know that what they are doing and how they're acting in Texas is just completely off the rails and inappropriate. Isaiah, introduce yourself to our audience, but let's talk a little bit about that moment that you were speaking, you got arrested, and here we are.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Isaiah Martin, and I'm running for Congress to continue the legacy of Congresswoman Jackson Lee, Congressman Sylvester Turner, Barbara Jordan, Mickey Leland, Craig Washington, and so many others. Ultimately, at this moment in time, I feel as if the American public are just sick of just the consistent games coming from Republicans. And ultimately, they're trying to erase the district that Barbara Jordan fought so hard to create in the 18th Congressional District of Texas. For those that don't know, that is the central Houston district that covers downtown Houston, Texas, and 3rd Ward, Eckersholm, and so many other places that for so long has been held together. It is Texas Republican lawmakers that are trying to break that up. And I felt as if, after sitting in that hearing room for about 4 hours and watching them ignore folks that had driven hours to come up and testify about how much they were against it, that these Republicans had to be told directly to their faces how much we were against it. It resulted in them getting me dragged out of that committee hearing room and putting me in jail for 30 hours. And then ultimately the next day I went straight back up to those Republicans after all charges were dropped to let them know that we, the people, are not afraid of them. And I think it is that boldness, that audacity that we need so desperately right now at this moment to continue to keep up this fight, to not only make sure that we beat Donald Trump, but make sure that we go beyond the status quo afterwards, to make sure that this country is more affordable and is delivering more for our people.
And beating Donald Trump is not just it's not just him. It's the entire ideology of Republicans across the country. I have been unapologetic in saying that we need to beat them down. And I mean, because I said this earlier, Isaiah, that if you are still supporting the GOP, the guardians of pedophiles, you have you have no. You no longer get any cover of like, okay, well, we can work. No. If you're still supporting the GOP as an individual voter, as well as an elected official, we're done with you. And that's how I believe we have to message to the public. I just had two callers on prior to you coming on the show. One asked a question here. A woman here in Chicago said, "What's the Democratic Party look like? Who's going to be that leader or that leading voice, that leading message?" And I said, "We don't need a white horse savior right now. We need all of us." One of my promos is all of our players means all of our players, and we all need to have a little bit of Isaiah Martin with us and in us in this fight. Your colleague, and I do mean colleague, Ann Johnson, representative, is going to be with us in the 7:30 hour. You all's voices have been powerful, and more people across the country need to know that your voices exist. So, young brother, I am proud of you. I am unapologetically proud of you. There's another great leader that got arrested a few times, and his name was Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King.
Absolutely.
So what's next?
100%.
What's next right now? I mean, I know that you guys have been, fortunately, we have a governor and state officials that have been helping you guys, the elected officials at least, in this plight of dealing with the Texas cabal of Abbott and Paxton and the rest. But what's next for you, and how are you relating or connecting with the Texas representatives that are here in Illinois? Having broken quorum?
Absolutely. Well, I know the biggest thing for us is that we've been supporting those lawmakers that are currently in Illinois and other places across the country. We've been using our social media networks to help raise funds to keep them so they can stay as long as they possibly can. I think that is very, very crucially important right now, because ultimately they are trying so hard to erase the district. But also what this does is it gives blue states the opportunity to do what I call Operation Get Back, in which blue states are fighting fire with fire and gerrymandering Republicans out of their seats without mercy. I think we got to do it. I mean, I'm not someone who loves gerrymandering, but at this point, would you rather lose your health care, or would you rather fight back? And I choose fighting back. So, I am extremely excited to see states like California, Gavin Newsom talking about gerrymandering out Republicans, J.B. Pritzker's talking about it in Illinois. I know the same thing is going on in New York. So I think we all have to be coming together and asking Democratic state lawmakers in blue states, what are you currently doing right now to go and fight back this existential threat that Republicans are posing to America?
They've created this threat. And so I agree with you. I hope that the Democratic leaders across the country, and particularly governors in blue states, look at this and say, you know what, this is not the time to follow a decorum. Let's be honest here. It's decorum that they want us to follow. And I hope that they will say, no, we're going to cut you off at the knees on this one this time. I really hope that that's what happens, because that's what needs to happen. And I just heard, you may have already heard this or be aware of it, that Abbott says that if Newsom decides that he's going to up the ante or match this fire with fire, that he's going to try to redistrict for 10 seats. But he's miscalculated. Help us through that, because you take the baton.
I mean, look, Greg Abbott is very stupid, right? So, I mean, he can't even do math. He can't even get 10 seats, even if he wanted to. I mean, but this is what happens when you're so desperate to lick the boots of Donald Trump. You become stupid. I mean, so that's what he's doing. I mean, ultimately, here's the reality. I think that's why we have to teach him about the blue state population advantage. Seriously, because if he wants to play this game, well, he'll learn real quick how big of a state California is. He'll learn real quick how big of a state New York is. I hear J.D. Vance is flying to Indiana to try to get them to redistrict the one House seat. Well,
well, and listen, and Governor of Colorado, is it Jared Polis? And I have that right, y'all. I hope I got that right. He hasn't even entered the conversation yet. And neither has my man up in Washington. And Shapiro hasn't entered the conversation yet. You know, so that's the thing that, and this is the part that's crazy. I know you look at this and go, wow. The mainstream media picks up on it like, oh, the Republicans are going to dominate because they can gerrymander. Well, hold on a second. Let's do the numbers, folks. Let's do a little bit of math here. And at its core, that is the reason that the Republicans are fighting so hard to capture these seats, because they know numerically we outnumber them. You know the numbers in the state of Texas. Was it 8.6 million Democrats to 6.9 Republicans? Is my math right there?
Something like that.
So the math ain't working, y'all. As Republicans, I should say. Don't want to include the Democrats in this. So Isaiah, listen, man. Let's talk about Mama for a second, and not your mama, and not my mama, but let's talk about Mama for a second. What a great, brilliant. See, let me say this. Real quick. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 Chicago, WARR 1520 AM, and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with candidate for Congress Isaiah Martin. Wants to talk about Mama. So you got the mic, brother. What is Mama all about?
Absolutely. Well, it's make America more affordable, because America is way too expensive. We all know health care and child care is way too much, and so I believe in guaranteeing it, because certainly if we can spend $4 trillion in tax cuts for the richest people of America, we certainly can afford to invest in our people. So I believe in creating an America where you have more of your own money, and I believe that this is the best way to do that, because the way I understand it, Mama beats MAGA every single time.
Yes, Mama does. And listen, I'm a few years older than you, but one thing that I think that you probably know, and I know, is you don't mess with Mama.
That's right.
You respect Mama, you honor Mama, you show up for Mama, but you don't mess with Mama. And it's a great acronym. Right. There's substance behind it, because it's about American people. It's about taking care of folks all across the country and all factions of the country. But it really does push back on this "Make America Great Again" garbage, which is all based in racist and sexist, misogynistic languaging. That's all it is. It's nothing more than that. It's taking it back to a time when, and that's what blows me away sometimes when people get caught up in this. It's real simple. Keep it simple. It's about racism and sexism and misogyny and white privilege. That's all. Nothing more. It's not any more complicated than that. So Mama's a great, great plan. It's something that needs to be implemented. I think that a lot of people want to hear from you an answer to this question, or at least your observation about Democrats fighting. You clearly have come out you got gloves off, and you got some steel in your fist.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that in this last little bit of time that we have, Isaiah, about Democrats fighting. And I want to get your observation, your opinion, and what you think needs to be the energy right now.
All right. Well, to be honest with you, I don't fear the GOP. I really don't. I think that was really my thoughts as I was sitting in that jail cell, and I had that cold bread and peanut butter. I was looking in the mirror and I was saying, the moment I got out, I'd be really coming after these guys. And seriously, I think that's the real fortitude that we need right now. I think the strongly worded letter era is simply something that needs to end. I think that people are looking for folks that are just not afraid and are willing to do everything necessary. So that's why, when I hear, and there's a lot of good folks that are fighting right now. I want to acknowledge them that are, folks like Jasmine Crockett and others. But, when I go and I hear some say that we shouldn't go and gerrymander out Republicans because it is against norms or that is just simply not the right thing to do. Again, I would like to ask these people, would you rather lose your health care? Would you rather people lose SNAP? Would you rather people be thrown out of their homes? Would you rather air traffic control be defunded and have planes fall out of the sky? So to be honest with you, it's a very simple conversation. If Republicans are willing to go for the jugular, then we need to go lower. And I think, seriously, if that means gerrymandering out Republicans, then that's fine. I don't really care about the Republicans that have been holding their seats for the last 20 years. I don't care about the seniority that they claim to have racked up. I don't care about the friendships that they claim to have made along the way. I don't care. Donald Trump is coming for America, and he's coming for Democratic seats. And with the same sense of don't care attitude that they care for drawing out Democrats, it's the same kind of don't care attitude that we need to gerrymander out Republicans. And I think that needs to be the message that we have across the country.
That's the power that I will tell you. I get calls and people say, Richard, when are the Democrats going to step up and fight? And, Richard, why are you complicit in saying that you've got Democratic leaders' backs? I do, because I want them to know that we're here to support them. Now go get the work done. That to me, having someone's back is letting them know you can go fight in an unfiltered, unapologetic way. And so you are also in that category, and you're taking the lead. You're taking the quote proverbial bull by the horns and saying, "I don't give a darn." And I love hearing that, because I use this phrase oftentimes, Isaiah. Walk into a room with a sledgehammer and knock over some tables. Well, you got knocked to the floor, went and spent some time, behind bars, and then came out fighting. That's what people want to see and hear. So I can't applaud you enough. I can't wait to continue to follow you. I'm going to do everything I can in my power with my show to promote and push you forward, because I will tell you, young brother, that this is the voice, this is the energy, this is what people need to hear. They need to know that there are folks that are going to punch hard, and whatever you need from us, you got it, because I'm telling you that I know you won't, but I just want to let you know we got your back. We won't wither, so you don't have to worry about withering. And that I can promise you in this fight that you're in. And it's so cool, too, to hear you say something like this. I don't care. Listen, Isaiah, I have to ask you this question, because you obviously are pretty good with social media. You're very good. TikTok loves you, and you've been doing some great stuff. But have you created a hashtag? If you haven't, noteworthy. I don't care.
Maybe I should.
No, maybe. You have to. You have to create that before the sun sets today. A new hashtag, I don't care.
I love it.
And then one of your next videos has to be, you've got some great ones. I don't care, because seriously,
you got a point. I'm going to do that. Actually, I'm going to write that on my list. I'm a big list guy. I write down everything I do in a day, so I'm going to put that on my list.
I love that in you. I am as well a big list guy, because it keeps me from forgetting things, but it also allows me to be able to say what I got to say. Isaiah, so in this fight that you're in, and the people that are around you, who are some of your current, who is it that you're turning to for strength and for guidance and the things that we all run not short of, but our tank does get close to empty. How do you refill? Who do you refill with?
Yeah, well, actually, my family, my mom, my dad, and my brother. My brother is my best friend. He is somebody who I talk to, multiple times a day. Consistently, he's always there, going with me to every event, pretty much. And he's put a lot of sacrifice into being around and, supporting me in this campaign. And, it's the same thing with my parents. I'm always calling them, always talking to them about, the issues of the day. And they're honestly some of my biggest advisors. So, there's a lot of folks that I'm definitely so grateful for in the community that have my back and, are always there. I can always call to, but certainly my family is what's closest to me, and I'm always so grateful for them.
That's great to hear. Your brother, your family, some of your best advisors and your people to go to, those that you can trust, they've got your back. They know you, they know what you're all about. And it's exciting to hear that and you giving them that shout out. What's probably also on people's mind, and I want to give you a quick I just got a message from someone that says, Isaiah is what we need. He brings the fire. We need more like him. So that comes from one of our listeners here in Chicago that wants to send that shout out to you to let you know that you are what we need. Yes, absolutely. So what I want to ask you as we wrap up, Isaiah, is how people can find you, how people can get involved, and let you know that they have your back.
Absolutely. Well, if folks want to support our campaign, they can sign up to volunteer. You don't have to be in Houston at IsaiahMartin.org. Also, you can chip into our campaign. Anything helps, seriously, at IsaiahMartin.org, IsaiahMartin.org. Everything's there.
What's your last comment as we break away this morning?
Well, I would say ultimately, I want to tell the people of America that we've been through very crazy times before in our history. Back in 1928, we had a man named Herbert Hoover that was elected. He did a lot of crazy policies that ultimately hurt this country very badly. But it was somebody by the name of Franklin Roosevelt that then came later that continued the fight, that made sure that we could eventually get stuff like Social Security, that paved the way for an era of Democratic dominance that Republicans honestly are still crying about. And ultimately, we got to return to that bit of moxie, per se. We've got to make sure we have our vision. And sometimes, through every single bit of darkness, we got to go through it to get to the light. And I see this as an opportunity for us to get to the light, to make sure that we can transform America and to make sure our country is a better place. So I'm ready to lead that movement. I'm ready to get to Congress and get to work. And with your support, we can get it done. So I just appreciate you so much for having me today.
Isaiah Martin, I can't wait for the day that I get a chance to meet you. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep singing your name and keep pushing your effort. We'd love to have you back in this fight and have you back on the show. So anytime you got something you want to say, you want to be on, we'll make sure to get you on, because you, young brother, are the future. And I'm so proud that you're doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, man. Have a good day and stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye. All I can say is wow. All I can say is wow, guys. He is definitely one of those voices, and he is definitely one of those people that we just have to follow. We've got to get behind. We've got to stay behind. So go to his site. You can chip in. You can do whatever you got to do. Isaiah Martin for Congress is all you have to Google, and you'll be able to find him and put some money where your mouth is. And you say you want those people, you want those voices. Well, there you go. There's one right there. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. You are listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM in Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we'll be right back.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. If you have children, they are always going to be your special bundle of joy. And if they're a newborn baby, you want to make sure what's best for them. So here are the best baby product companies that support the Democratic Party. Procter & Gamble. Now, Procter & Gamble owns Luvs, Pampers, and All Good. In 2024, Procter & Gamble gave $599,000 to the Democratic Party, 61% of their donations. Procter & Gamble supports the Democratic Party. Kirkland Diapers. Now, Kirkland Diapers are owned by First Quality. And First Quality does not give to politics, but their employees do, and their employees lean slightly to the left, as $50,000 are donated to Democrats in 2024. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
When it comes to banking, you need a bank you can trust. A bank with a rock-solid reputation and the highest integrity. A bank that gives you the attention and respect you deserve.
ABOC first opened its doors in downtown Chicago in 1922, and we've made our name on deep expertise, best-in-class service, and a strong commitment to our customers. We know the Chicago business market inside and out and can help you craft the perfect banking solution, no matter what type of business you're in.
And if you're looking for a banking partner for your labor union, we can bring the type of expertise that only comes from a bank that was founded by labor unions and still has union employees and shareholders to this day.
Whether you need a deposit account, loan, trust services, or investment management, ABOC has you covered. Let's work together to manage your finances today while planning for a better tomorrow. ABOC, a bank built on a strong foundation.
Visit aboc.com to learn more. Member FDIC.
You are listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms here for today with partial sunshine developing and a high in the mid-80s. Winds out of the south of 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. For tonight, chance for rain and storms, cloudy, a low near 70. By Wednesday, sunshine, high of 84 degrees. Thursday, sunny, high of 83. Friday, we'll see mostly sunny skies, a high of 89 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 77.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Richard Chu's got his eyes on the truth. And you're right where you need to be. This is Chu's View on WCPT 820.
State Representative Ann Johnson from Houston, Texas, and along with my Democratic colleagues, we have broken quorum out of Texas to try to protect the interest of voters, not only in our state, but nationwide. And I will tell you that the first day, they threatened our position in leadership. The second day, they threatened financial ruin for us personally. And now on the third day, they have threatened our lives. It does not weaken our resolve. It happened, we are safe, and we continue to move forward. I will tell you, as your former chief human trafficking prosecutor out of Houston, Texas, I'm accustomed to criminals threatening my life. But I never thought I'd see the day that it would come from our governor, our attorney general, or the president of the United States. Things are different now. It is time for everybody to catch that courage and stand up and say Republican extremism is no good for not only Texas, but not for our nation. It is time for us to get back to the things that are truly our values. We can disagree without being disagreeable. We can disagree without threatening one another. And we can disagree and have our own without trying to take away from somebody else. So let's get back to the heart of being Texan and being American.
Wow. We have been so fortunate this morning to have, prior to this, Isaiah Martin with us. And now we've got another great Texan out of District 134 that happens to be one of those fighters in this crazy thing that's happening with gerrymandering. And that would be Texas State Representative Ann Johnson. Good morning, ma'am. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank y'all very much for having me on. Grateful.
Absolutely. We're thankful that you are with us and honored that you are taking the time out of a crazy time in your schedule to do exactly what you just said in that clip, and that is to represent not only the folks of Texas, but for folks throughout the rest of the country. So we know the hard work that you're putting in right now. I love a couple of your phrases. Catch that courage. I'm real big on making a recommendation for a hashtag, but that's got to be one if you haven't already created it. Catch that courage. Wow. And you've been leading, you and so many other members of your legislature, the Democratic side, have taken a lead. And thank goodness for, J.B. Pritzker, governor here in Illinois, to partner with you guys to let you know that while you're going through this, that you've got a safe place to be. How has that felt for you? What's that been like?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, that, Catch That Courage really came from the inspiration of his speech when we first got here. And he talked about courage being contagious. And we are grateful. I mean, I'm a Democrat in Texas. And, the nation knows that Texas is incredibly conservative. And there are a lot of times that we lose on policy debates because they have the majority. But this is not a policy debate. This is about being willing to steal 5 seats and rig the next election because you don't have the ability to stand up to your party leader. And that is destructive, not only for the institutions in our democracy, but we're getting to a point where things are really careening out of control and dangerous between the divisions of not only Texans but Americans. And so to have your state be willing to welcome a group of individuals that are actually doing the most fundamental, basic thing of protecting democracy, which is a quorum break, which you probably know. President Lincoln, when he was in your state house, attempted to break quorum. And so when people say, hey, you guys, are you working? Yeah, we are working. And this is the most incredible, extraordinary step that you can take of a quorum break. It's excessively rare. But when you see somebody do it, it should really be a highlight. Okay, something's gone off the rails if they're doing this.
Yeah, and you definitely have highlighted that quorum break. Yes, President Lincoln was one of the names that is one of the names that comes to mind when we talk about this. But you're also, when you talk about doing your job, you've been asked by a couple different reporters, and I've played the clip of you talking to one of the CBS reporters about, are you not doing your job? And your response is legendary now. You did not run off to Cancun. So you're doing your job. You're doing what the law allows you to do. And I think a lot of people, and of course the mainstream media, not doing their job, they've done a poor job of explaining in fact, that you're not breaking the law and that you are doing your job, which is to represent the citizens of the state of Texas, all of them, Republican or Democrat, right?
No, that's absolutely right. Quorum break is rooted in the Texas Constitution. The founding fathers of Texas gave us this tool for just this moment. And this has nothing to do with party for us. This is about ensuring that every individual has the right to vote for or against me, whether you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. They are trying to rig the next election and steal 5 seats. They are trying to pick their voters rather than giving voters the opportunity to pick them based on really terrible policies. I mean, this last session, they passed a voucher scheme in part to the benefit of Governor Greg Abbott, who took $12 million from a donor out of the state of Pennsylvania who has a personal financial vested interest in vouchers. And he did that. They defunded our schools. We have the highest rate of uninsured children in the nation. And let me tell you who our governor is. When we passed our budget, he did a line item veto to take food assistance away from hungry kids in the summer. But that's who he is. That's the values that he represents. And that is not the values of everyday Texans or Americans. And so us using this tool of a quorum break to stand up to a character like that, this is public service.
Yep. It's the essence of it. It's saying we're going to make this as uncomfortable as possible for the governor, for the attorney general, and the other legislators on the right, because we are here for all of the Texans. Because listen, I mean, and Representative Johnson, I just have to say this. I've been talking about this pretty much every day for the last week plus on my show, and folks all over the country have responded to what you guys are doing, and it's just ironic that Illinois is a state that's here to support you, and all the craziness that gets thrown at us. But I have to, sort of ask you your thought, or get your thoughts on this. People say oftentimes that Texas is not a red state; it's a gerrymandered state that has a minority rule. Talk a little bit about that, being someone that's been inside the factory.
Yeah, it's not just gerrymandered. Y'all may remember I was one of the group that we also broke quorum in 2021 because Texas Republicans were attempting to pass legislation to make it harder to vote. They were attempting to take away souls to the polls. They were attempting to say that a judge could determine the outcome of the election after the fact, regardless of the vote of the people. They took away a concept that we had in Harris County of 24-hour voting. And you may say, well, why do you need that? Because we're a big urban community where folks work in 2 and 3 jobs. And we had a voting center in the middle of the medical center where that's around-the-clock employment. And so it was really easy for those folks to just go down at 2 a.m. and vote and have an opportunity to cast their vote. Texas is one of the few states where you have to go find a deputy registrar to help you fill out the ballot to determine that you want to vote. They make it hard. They oppress it. They suppress it. And then on top of that, they draw these lines in gerrymandering to determine the outcome of the election basically before you go. And that has the effect of individuals saying, well, why bother? Why go vote? It doesn't matter. We already know so-and-so is going to win. And then that deflates your participation statewide. If you actually look at registered voters in Texas, Democrats are way out ahead. But Republicans consistently will show up no matter what. They win. And Democrats really feel this suppression and depression because why bother because of these efforts. And so I'm one of a number of members of the Texas legislature who have promoted the idea of an independent commission to draw the lines. Just let the people draw the lines. Let us go out and compete on fair ideas. I think you need to throw campaign finance reform into that. As I mentioned, the governor took $12 million. That's kind of crazy. You've got to make the rules fair, but give the voters an opportunity to pick. What are you really fighting for? Are you fighting for women's health? Are you fighting for common sense gun safety reform? Are you fighting for actual true public safety that respects due process and the interests of the accused, while also making sure that the victim also gets an opportunity to have justice served? These are the kinds of ideas that Democrats talk about. Right now, prices of everything in Texas are skyrocketing. The inflation, what's happening with the economy, it's hurting the least among us, and they need to know that there are actually people trying to be out there working to increase their hourly wage and get them good jobs and get them good education. And right now we're just having a hard time getting there because the system has been pushed to a point that it's hard to hear the message.
Not a red state, but a gerrymandered and redistrict state. I mean, this is something that I've been talking about as well for this last, 10 days. And plus that you guys have been here in Illinois and that you've been in this fight, which you've been in this fight for much longer. And that this power grab by the GOP is deeply racist. And there's a couple of racist things that are happening right now. One of them is the literal power grab of redistricting and taking away the voice of Texans who are in brown communities, black and brown communities, and single mom communities and the rest. So that's deeply racist and sexist, and it goes way, way back. But the other thing is the use of law enforcement and language like, we're going to go round them up, we're going to go capture them, they've escaped. That goes back to, as you well know, being a Texan and a Southerner. That goes back deep into post-enslavement or tail end of enslavement rhetoric about catching slaves. And so, you guys are out there working your tails off to serve the people, and then you've got a governor, you've got a president, to your point in the clip, using language that says we're going to go capture people. And it's got to be highly offensive to you as well.
I mean, it's frightening. I mean, we broke quorum 4 years ago, and I'll tell you the threats that are happening to us now are drastically different. And I think that shows the climate of where we are, just as you're talking about President Trump, the rhetoric of which he uses and enables his supporters to think that, okay, if you're committing violence on his behalf, it's fine, right? And that's really kind of the message that he has sent. And this, hunt them down. I mean, that's what our Attorney General has said. Yesterday, our speaker created a hotline and said, help us go find them. Again, feeding into this vigilanteism that somehow, that as Americans and Texans, we're in this war with each other. We're not. We're in common space of which we're supposed to try to find ideas across the aisle. And you're right about the manner in which they are trying to crack these districts, take voters from either Latin communities for black communities, break them into sections where effectively the white Republican voting strength overrides that voice. And so I'm from Houston, and one of our historic districts is Texas 18. Barbara Jordan, she was the first woman of color elected to Congress from the South. My dad served with her in the legislature back in the 60s. My family knew her. She was an icon of the civil rights movement. She was an impeachment manager and part of the impeachment for Nixon. And she was
a humdinger.
The history. She was an incredible. And then there's a legacy of that seat from Nikki Leland to Sheila Jackson Lee to Sylvester Turner. They want to break that seat, and that's kind of what we're talking about. They want to break the voice of black and Latin communities in Texas, and that's harmful, and it's completely against the Voting Rights Act. It's unconstitutional.
Did we lose her?
No, she's here. No, I'm still here.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, you're okay.
The late Ann Richards is probably, and God, Cecile, they've got to be just, turning in their proverbial graves over where we are right now, particularly the women like you spoke of, Barbara Jordan and me entering the conversation. And she was phenomenal. These are strong women, strong Texas women, strong American women that led from the front. And to have their legacy be destroyed by these, excuse my language, but weak A, kind of pathetic, feckless white guys is very frustrating to watch. And I'm not saying that to be racist. I'm just saying that's part of what you said a moment ago, turning this power, turning this voting over to districts that don't need it, frankly, right now. It should be the balance that you've tried to create. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, government is supposed to work for the people, right? And you can see what happened in Central Texas. I mean, we had a devastating flood where at least 137. There are 2 individuals of which we're still searching for. So it's at least 137 died. I'm on the committee that's done those hearings. The county judge was out of town. The sheriff was asleep. And the Office of Emergency Management guy said that he was sick. Basically, the 3 guys, all Republicans that were supposed to be in charge of that county and taking care of it, were just not on the job. And so government requires that you actually be willing to step up and do the job for your community and have an investment in protecting your people above politics. And when you speak of Ann Richards and Cecile Richards, and you talk about the change in Texas, I mean, we're banning books. We're getting rid of the history that you can learn. They're trying to supersede our university systems on what they can teach. We can't say the word racist on the House floor. It's a violation of decorum. You can't even say the word. And then when Cecile Richards passed away, a constituent of one of our members, and our member tried to do a memorial resolution, which is a privilege that we get, that we can do memorial resolutions, they knocked it off and said, no, you can't talk about her. I'll give credit. There were a handful of Republican men that stood with us when we attempted to talk about her. But when you're preventing the legacy and the history and the real-time events and facts that the opposition party can talk about, and now we're at a point where you're threatening to come arrest your opposition party. This is no longer a free debate in democracy. And that's why I appreciate you paying attention to where we are. These are just facts. This is just what's happening in Texas and why Democrats are unified. We have really reached a breaking point with this, that this is the one tool we have available to try to keep them from stealing the next election and taking the voice of our voters, and that's where we've stepped up. And I'm really proud of this group, those that are holding out, and I do hope it catches fire nationwide, sparks this courage, and lets everybody know you can do it. Stand up to this stuff. It's not normal. It's not okay, and we've got to really, really take back our institutions and the integrity of our systems.
Without a doubt. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 here in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM in Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking to Representative Ann Johnson from District 134 in Texas. Representative, let me ask you a couple of, I guess you could say more on the personal side questions, but not too personal. You've got a background steeped in leadership. You mentioned your father earlier. There's other people that have been, for lack of better words, those folks that you've looked up to. You're a native of Houston. Yeah. You're the youngest of 6 children. I mean, I always say, watch out for the youngest one because they'll come after you. You're always fighting that uphill battle. But talk a little bit about your family, that part of your background where you've got that stout part of your personality from.
I'm so blessed. My dad was a member of the Texas House back in the 60s. My mom was a judge. She's retired judge now. She was the only Democrat to win in Houston-Harris County in 1994. And so I grew up with folks like Senator Carl Parker, Senator Babe Schwartz. They were part of the Killer Bees, if you look back at Texas history, where they broke quorum, again, to stop extreme partisanship. They were basically trying to rig the primary election to help the governor of Texas try to run for president. And the rest of the folks said, no, that's not the way we do it. We don't break the rules and rechange the rules to benefit a partisan. We hold to the foundation of Texas. And so thank you for asking that. I haven't thought about that in this way. Senator Parker actually died last year. His wife passed away, and I was with her at a moment in her hospital room before she died, and the last thing that she said to me was truly about living in faith and Christianity, and speak truth to power and don't judge other people. And so I am grateful I'm in this position, but I am in this position because the people around me raised me to know, my dad was a white man, but he went to the courthouse and he represented people of color that other lawyers wouldn't take their cases. My dad taught me, you go to the well of the courtroom as a lawyer, and it is the most awesome power because you get to speak for those that don't have a voice. And so my history, my raising is in a family rooted in public service, and a family rooted that when you have something and you see that other folks don't, you use your power that you have to help others. You don't use your power to quash others. And so in this moment, I think we all need to reach for the history, the legacy of our families that knew how important this democracy was. But then I also think for those of us that are now at the age where we have young folks watching us, step up and tell them in this moment, our community, our system of government, the way we function, the way we support others, it's us. It's on us to control. From the bottom up, we can change this as opposed to what they're trying to do, which is power from the top down. And I'm grateful that I can be in this moment at this time.
Well, we got a little something special for you real quick that we're going to drop on you, so sit tight.
All right.
Okay, well, give me a second.
Okay, all right.
I have been, when I listen to you talk, one of the things that's so compelling to me is that you have a tremendous command of understanding the history of the state of Texas, but you've also done a great job of overlaying that to the rest of the country and why this is not just a state battle, but it's a nation's battle. And I know that you've got observations and your thoughts about other governors deciding they're going to redistrict and redraw and play the game a little bit harder and with a little bit more fire, i.e. Pritzker, Hochul, and Newsom. But you've got a grasp on it, and we all appreciate that. So we got a little treat for you real quick. It's only going to last about 15 seconds. Hold on.
Okay.
All right,
thank you so much.
Tomorrow is your birthday.
Yeah, tomorrow's my birthday. Tomorrow is my birthday, and thank you. I appreciate that. It's very sweet. Thank you.
Well, we wanted to acknowledge that. We won't have you on the show tomorrow, but I figured a little bit in advance we'd throw you a little birthday love and let you know. I love that. I say this often, Representative Johnson. I want you to know as an elected official, I understand that what you do, it's hard to be perfect. You can't be perfect. We're not looking for perfect. But we are looking for what you and Isaiah Martin bring to the table and so many others, and that's fight. Fight, 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 fight. Come out fighting. And you have been, and we appreciate that. And I want to share this with you so that you know that we've got your back. I mean, I think Governor Pritzker and other representatives here in the state of Illinois have proven that. We've got your back. So you don't have to turn around and look and see, are they there for me? We're here for you. And we want you to continue to go forward and fight hard and keep bringing people into the conversation that will help in your effort to continue to fight. Because we know it's hard. We know you can't do it on your own. But you should know that the state of Illinois, that my show here, our listeners across the country have your back. And you can always turn to us to say, hey, can I get on the show? Can we talk a little bit about some things? So just to let you know that and let our listeners know how they can follow you, how they can find you, how they can support you.
I'm Ann Johnson, state representative out of Houston, Texas, and our website is just AnnJohnson.com. I think it's got all the links to the social media. I got to say, we've got younger folks who do that. I'm grateful for it. It's like, I think, vote Ann Johnson on all the platforms, and we are trying to get the word out about Texas because it does really matter for what may be coming to your state. That's what we see. So, and when we talk about fight, we're not talking about their kind of vigilante fight. We're not talking about their physical threats and their physical fight. We're talking about stepping up in spaces, school boards, local city council, elected places, doing the job the right way, caring for people, when there's a disaster, bringing out water and food and helping people and showing people what real public service looks like. And getting engaged, when you sit down to get your hair cut, when you stop to get that cup of coffee, just asking folks, hey, do you know what's going on right now? And I think you'll be amazed at how many people will say yes. And for those that don't, let them know if they're not paying attention to politics is paying attention to them. And so it's time for everybody to get engaged. And that's definitely our fight and what we're doing.
Hashtag catch that courage, y'all. Yep. Representative Ann Johnson from the great state of Texas, thank you so much for being with us this morning. It has been an honor. You can come back anytime. We got your back, and we want you to be there in that fight because you don't need to turn around and wonder if folks have your back, okay?
Thank you. I'm grateful for you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, guys.
Talk to you soon.
Right. Bye-bye. Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay, I don't know what cherry to put on top of that. What a blessing to have her on the show and to let her know, as well as Isaiah Martin from the earlier segment, that we have their back and that we believe in what they're trying to do. They've been great in their fight, and I really want to applaud their effort. We're going to try to squeeze in 2 30-second calls very quickly. Cindy from Michigan, go for it.
Hey, Richard. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Great conversation. I just wanted to make a quick thing that all the tanks that are going to be rolling through Washington, D.C., and all the spectacle that he's going to do. First he has a parade. Now he's doing this. Trump is taking away the conversation. I noticed less conversation about Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point. But he's a very violent man.
Yep.
And just the fact that he would even think, I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue.
And get away with it.
Where does that even come from? That was the first thing.
Yep.
And then the crowds in his at his rallies, kick him in the head. Get him.
Yeah.
And he still thinks that the Central Park Five should be put to death, even though they've been exonerated completely by DNA, weren't even in the vicinity of where it happened. So this is who we're dealing with. He'll do anything. And what they're doing in Texas is part of that.
Without a doubt.
It's a violent, it's grab our votes by the you-know-what.
Cindy, you couldn't.
I'm so angry.
You couldn't have put it any better than that. And I appreciate you hanging in there with us this morning. I know there's a lot more to talk about with this Epstein situation, but thanks for your call and contribution this morning. Okay?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Half a second, Brock. You got 30 seconds, my man. Go for it.
Fantastic. Love the happy birthday. Kept it on a positive note.
We tried.
Let's as Democrats solve this problem and get rid of gerrymandering altogether. We have the idea. Let's do this ranked choice voting. Let's say 5, 10, 75 districts in which, like New York, does ranked choice voting. You pick the 5, 10, or 75 that you want, and us Democrats will win out, and so other times we'll lose out. but let's
right
be
now,
bigger than this. Let's solve the problem.
Yeah, and that's a long-term solution without a doubt. Brock, thank you for the call. And I think right now that definitely has to be one of the things that's on the table. Brett, thanks for the call this morning. So to that end, right now though, we have to fight differently. We have to be willing to go after what we got to go after to save democracy, just like Ann Johnson said, as well as what Isaiah Martin had to say this morning. So, guys, thanks for being with us. Thanks to our guests. Thanks to you guys as callers and those who've sent text messages and all the rest. Take a deep breath. Make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
The far left's anti-ICE riots.
Republicans are so dumb. Because at WCPT, we go to Riot Fest to riot, baby! Riot Fest is back in Douglas Park, September 19th through the 21st. Come see all your favorite bands: Blink-182, Alkaline Trio, Weird Al Yankovic, Weezer, Green Day, and many more. Tickets are still on sale at riotfest.org, but lucky for you, if you join the WCPT 820 Club, WCPT will send you to Riot Fest! Riot Fest! September 19th through the 21st at Douglas Park in Chicago.
With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No